You're watching Strat News Global. I'm Amita Brevi, and joining us from Qatar-born in Mauritius is the former Mauritius president, Ms Gurib-Fakim. She's also a biodiversity scientist. Not very good news that we're talking to you about, Fakim. What is the latest situation with the oil spill?
First of all, thank you, Amita, for speaking to you and for listening to us on Strat News Global. As the people, I think the whole world is aware that we started having this leakage since last Thursday. And as we speak, I think the pumping is going on. And we're just hoping that this pumping and, of course, all the residual oil on this tanker gets removed as fast as possible so that the lagoon we can really start the cleaning up of the lagoon. But one thing which has been, heartwarming is to see the mobilization of the Mauritian public. That's fantastic. I've never seen people rallying around the cause for saving the lagoon as I've seen for the past week. So that is commendable. And I think I can't stop thanking them for being so mobilized.
We've seen pictures and video of that and stories coming out from the point that you're making about the locals helping. And I think I was seeing pictures of them with fabric booms, sugarcane leaves that they were using to try and protect the beaches there, which are pristine, normally like sandy colored, and now many of them black.
Yeah. The tragedy, Amitav, is that this oil spill could not have taken place in a worse location, right? Because it is a prime spot. It's a marine park. It's a park which is protected, which we have taken commitment to protect via the Ramsar Convention. And it houses so many indigenous, endemic species from here. And the worst thing is that because we are a biodiversity hotspot, there are species that we don't know exist, and we're still discovering these species. So it's a direct threat to them. And again, I think I will also, join my voice to the call which is happening internationally. Why we must protect the ecosystem? Because it underpins our survival on this planet. And this is something that policymakers, politicians across the world, they don't seem to get to grips with that. It underpins our survival, and it's our responsibility to see to it that we protect them.
You were talking about biodiversity hotspot. There's a marine park, thousands of hectares, I think, in the sea, and you're saying that there's some species that you haven't even probably found that they're actually there.
Yes.
What is it may be too early, but what is the damage already done ecologically because of this oil spill?
From what we have seen, from what I have seen, because I actually have been going there backward and forward for the past week, is that already the mangroves, I think they are more or less dead because the amount of oil that has stuck to the roots. This is a species where the root come out and it depends on the air, of course, on the water. I think that's more or less gone. And I think once we have cleaned up as much as possible, we'll have to carry out an evaluation. I think this is here again, we call for collaboration with Indian institution, other institutions as well, so they can give us a hand to really make an assessment of what has happened. And I think what the message we'll have, with a lesson rather, we'll have to draw from this is what is the responsibility of these organizations, of these people who actually, of these countries where these ships are registered. Right? Because the one that has hit our reef, the MV Wakashio, has been registered in Panama. And here we make a call for much more stringent regulations because I think that the damage is there already. We need to hold these people accountable, these institutions accountable that register this ship, because looking at the picture that's coming out of all the photos, of course, the clips that people are recording, the ship doesn't look to be in a very good state. So how come these kind of ships are trading the oceans? That's the question we have to ask.
Yeah, you bring up an important point there. A company owns the cargo. One company owns it. The ship is flagged in another country. It's registered in a third, and accountability. This was hit a reef in your waters, so it's not an issue of international waters where this would you could get away with it, right?
Yes. It is in our waters, it's under our jurisdiction. But as I said, beyond the legality, beyond the politics, beyond the rhetoric, what we see right now is the livelihoods of these people that have been impacted. Right, these poor fishermen, they're totally desperate. And not just that, because of course the ripple effect will be much more than this. And one thing that we haven't taken note, and I think we should, is the health of these people who are in regular contact with this spill. And we know there has been documentation. I mean, there's a recent article in The Lancet which speaks of mental health issues, which speaks of health issues, and these are dangerous stuff. And I think people have to really be made aware of how dangerous this oil spill is.
You talked about collaboration. I think the French from Reunion Island were the first to send ships and planes and equipment. The Indian Oil Maldives Limited has a barge there, and it's pumping out whatever oil is it can at the moment. You called for international. I think UN team is already there or is on its way. So what information can you give us about an international cleanup effort and, of course, assessment effort of the damage?
Yeah, well, as you have rightly said, the Réunion, which is next door, it's only about 150 kilometers from where we are. They have been very prompt to send us a team of experts. The Japanese must also be sending people. Yeah. And as you have rightly said, Indian Oil has helped us because they can also pump a lot of the oil. So I think we are just looking for help. Country that can help. And I was also was really heartwarming, Amitav, to see people proposing to send a container full of absorbers. I mean, this is, again, we have to follow up. But I think people are realizing how, again, multilateralism still is alive. And we need to capitalize on this. And I think when things like this happen, this is when we realize the power of institutions. So again, we are calling for help. We need all the support we can because we don't have the expertise, nor do we have the necessary resources, because I think this is beyond us. So we call for support, we call for help from the international community to come and give us a hand, not just now, but I think in the long term, because, oil spills are not cleaned up immediately after the oil has been removed. So we have to sustain that effort over a period of time so that the proper monitoring is done. And we keep our fingers crossed to get the lagoon in the pristine state, as you have rightly mentioned, because this is our resource. This is our livelihoods, because we mustn't forget that almost 24% of the GDP of Mauritius comes from tourism. And of course, all the aggregate sectors to this, of course, provide work, provide jobs for so many people in the informal sector. So it's in our interest to get it back to its pristine state.
The sea is the home for you in that island there, and especially for those who depend on it for their livelihood. Now, the immediate aim, as you're saying, is to clean it up, to stop the oil, clean it up, and bring it back to the state, or as close as it could possibly to the state that it was in. But in the larger term, in the longer term, you will be looking at pinning blame, accountability for this, whether it's the Japanese company, the owners of the ship. I'm not sure exactly how Indian Oil Maldives Limited is involved. How does that work in terms of compensation? Because this is going to be long-term. Livelihoods, lives are impacted here.
Yeah. Amitav, we are right in a crisis right now. Yeah. And I think the first priority will be to get the oil out, will be to restore the livelihoods of so many of these people who are directly affected. I'm sure in the medium to long term, the blame game will start. And yes, we will see compensation. But I think beyond the compensation to what has happened to the lagoon, we'll have to see how we need to compensate those people who have been immediately impacted. And here again, I make a plea to those people who are operating in the informal sector. We need to help them. And we need to help them now. We need to help them in the medium term because their livelihoods is going to be impacted for a long time.
It's a double impact. 6 months now already, COVID, tourism, like you were pointing out, 24% of your GDP. So they're already impacted, and now it's even worse. But since this happened, July 25th, I think it ran aground. Was there a delay in dealing with the problem? Could it have been at least reduced, the impact?
This is the question which is on everybody's mind, and some people are being quite vocal about it. Why did it take 12 days to come up with a strategy? And this is something that increasingly is being raised. And so we are still very, very puzzled by the delay of 12 days. So again, this will come eventually when it comes to the name and blame, when that will start. But as I said, right now, we just take stock of what is happening and try and remedy as fast as we can.
Former President Ameenah Gurib-Fakim, again, a pleasure having you on Strat News Global. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope this oil spill is sorted out as soon as it can.
Thank you so much, Amita, for having me.
Just a reminder to our viewers, just log on to our website, Stat News Global, to get all the latest news and analysis from an Indian perspective, and follow us on our social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram handles. Just click on that bell icon on YouTube, I beg your pardon, to get notifications or reminders for videos like this one. You're watching Stat News Global. I'm Amita Brady.